Welcome to our Franklin Township Board of Education Candidates Forum. My name is Patricia Williamson, and I am the proud president of the Central Jersey Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated is an organization of college-educated women committed to the constructive development of its members and to public service with a primary focus on the Black community. The Central Jersey Alumni Chapter, also known as CJA, is a group of dynamic women bonded by sisterhood, committed to community uplift and engagement in the Black community through public service, scholarship, and social action in Union, Middlesex, and Somerset counties. Chartered by 30 remarkable women, 50 years ago this November, actually 50 years ago, 1 month from today, November 8th, we have a common love of service and the need to contribute to the community. CJA has grown to almost 400 women. Our vision for this biennium is better together. When CJA works in partnership with local schools and community-based organizations, we are better together. When we pool resources and implement our strategic plans as a team, our counties, our state, our region, and our nation are all better together. Franklin Township, this program is designed for you. It highlights how working better together can make a difference. I extend a warm welcome and thanks to our co-sponsor, the League of Women Voters of the Greater New Brunswick area. We're teaming up to stress the significance of voting in next month's local elections. Local elections have real impact, and your participation is important. We wanted to connect with you before Election Day because we believe it truly matters. You'll have the chance to hear directly from candidates running for positions on your Board of Education. We value their commitment and thank them for dedicating their time to serve. I would like to acknowledge and thank my awesome CJA Social Action Tri-Chairs, Lisa Malloy-Stevens, Michelle Bailey, and Adrian Strigler, and the rest of the Planning Committee for bringing together this event. I would also like to thank the Franklin Township Public Schools and Franklin Middle School Sampson G. Smith campus for allowing us to host this program here tonight. Let's get ready for an interesting and informative evening. I now turn this over to League of Women Voters, Stephen Lax.
Thank you. Good evening. I am Voter Education Chair of the League of Women Voters of the Greater New Brunswick area. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of New Jersey, Greater New Brunswick Area Chapter, and the Central Jersey Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Delta Chapter. We got an extra chapter in there, so Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. I am pleased to welcome you to our candidates forum for the candidates of the Franklin Township Board of Education. The Board of Education sets the policy for the local public schools. If you are a property owner here, school costs are a large but essential part of your property tax bills. Tonight's sponsors are nonpartisan organizations that encourage informed and active participation in government, work to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influence public policy through education and advocacy. The sponsors never support or oppose political parties or candidates. If you have a question for the candidates, please print the question on one of the index cards provided and turn it in. Some questions have already been turned in by those who registered in advance, and we most likely will not have time for all questions. However, if your question addresses a topic to all of the candidates and is about a Board of Education topic for which we do not now have a question, we will try to include it. This forum is being recorded through the courtesy of the Franklin Township High School audio video group. It will be available in entirety on various sources, including the Delta Sigma Theta website. The sponsors' names, logos, event recording, or any materials from the event cannot be used in a way that could lead a viewer or reader to infer the league and other sponsors support or oppose an opposition candidate. And I'll be direct here. Our moderator didn't show. He's probably stuck in traffic. So I will be your moderator. The candidates will have time for an opening remark, 1.5 minutes, 1 minute for each question, and a 30-second rebuttal to each question if they wish. With that, we're going to rotate who we present as a candidate, and it'll be a very simple rotation. First question, we start here and move down. Second question, third question, fourth question, and then we start again with the fifth question over here. We run it in order so the candidates understand that. And with that, we are going to turn it over to the candidates. Opening statement. And we do have to pass the mics, so
Good evening. My name is Martin Zeptar. I've lived in the Franklin Township area for 31 years in the same house. My oldest daughter graduated from Franklin before the Taj Mahal was built. As we all know, that's the nickname for the high school, senior high school at this present time. And I'm running for the Board of Ed because I had two choices. I can either sit home and complain to my wife, or I can try to make an attempt to get out and change how things are being done, and hopefully lower the taxes that we all pay. So that's my opening statement, and good evening.
Hi, I'd just like to again express my thanks to both of the organizations sponsoring this evening's debate and for their over 100 years of service to the community. I also want to thank all of you for coming out tonight. There's a lot of other things that you could have been doing today, and you chose to come here, and I appreciate that. My name is Jennifer Welch. I've lived in Franklin for 15 years. That makes me a newcomer in this area, but it's the longest I've ever lived in any one place. I raised my children here. They both graduated from Franklin High School, and they've both told me that they appreciated what they learned there, not just in academics, but about service and leadership and the arts. I saw the importance of education from a very early age. My mother came to this country with an 8th grade education, and both of her daughters became public school teachers. And we're both working to make sure that other students have access to opportunities that my mom never could have. As a teacher myself, I taught for over 30 years in Passaic Public Schools. I taught history and government. I still teach at Montclair State University, and I'm also an educational consultant working to support teachers that are helping students who are learning English as a second language, working still to expand opportunity for all of our students. As a mom, as an educator, as a neighbor, as a daughter, I'm passionate and I'm knowledgeable about schools, and I'm eager to use my skills to support and uplift the public schools in Franklin.
Hi, I'm Clara Wilson. I live in the Greekstown section of Franklin. My husband and I moved. My husband and I moved in 12 years ago. We have 2 boys. My oldest is at Claremont in 4th grade, and our youngest is 3. So I'm just running after him all day long. I am a product of the South Brunswick public school system. I attended from kindergarten through 12th grade, just graduated last year. I taught music and math in the public school system and private school system, you name it, I've taught there. I have a music education background. I'm certified in math and music, both of which I've taught in public schools. I have 15 years of teaching experience, and I have left education, but not in that area necessarily. So I'm just in a different place in education, and now I run my own business. Thank you.
First of all, thank you to Delta Sigma Theta sorority chapter, and also for the League of Women Voters for the New Brunswick chapter for putting this forum together, and thank you to all of you who took the time to attend here, and thank you to the viewers. Good evening. My name is Meher Rafiq. I'm a proud resident of Franklin Township for 38 years. I'm also a proud alum of Franklin Public Schools. My 3 children went from kindergarten all the way through Franklin High School, both the old and the new campus. I've lived our school as a parent and a community member, and I know both the value they bring and the challenges we face. I'm running for the Board of Education to ensure that every student has a chance to succeed, to raise the academic standards, that taxpayer dollars are used responsibly, and their decisions reflect Franklin values of equity, diversity, community, and the partnership with parents. At the heart of those values is the belief that an authentic and inclusive education, one that tells the full truth and welcomes every child's story, is the foundation of opportunity for our children and for our Franklin's future. With my background in finance and my lifelong connection to this town, I'm committed to raising academic standards, supporting our children and educators, ensuring taxpayer dollars are managed responsibly, and keeping Franklin schools a source of pride for every family. Knowledge should never be censored. We empower students to gain knowledge. By empowering students to think critically, meet standards, and carry their learning into real life and their careers into real world, we ensure Franklin schools are not just a place of education, but a foundation for lifelong success. Thank you.
Okay, may I request that you do not applause after every answer? We want to fit in as many questions as possible. Okay, so question 1.
Starting the other way.
What?
Starting the other end.
Started 1, now start 2. Yeah. Okay. And then you'll end with, okay. So, the first question is always the $50 million question. What is the one thing you want to accomplish on the Board of Education in the coming year?
Thank you so much for that. It is the biggest question, right? I think that there are, as proud as I am that my own children have gone through the schools here, I think we all can acknowledge that there are some significant gaps in achievement for our students. There are a lot of issues that I've had myself as a parent, and I've heard from other parents with the special education program in town. We have concerns about education for exceptional students that seems to really just pop up in the later grades. And obviously, as a career teacher of ESL and bilingual students, the performance of our students who are language learners is also of concern to me. There's a lot of places where the data shows that there are gaps where we can really focus our resources and our attention. And I want to make sure that I'm doing that I'm constantly putting a brighter light on those gaps and making sure that we're addressing those concerns.
When my older son was was in kindergarten. It was right after the pandemic, and he said, as I was still teaching at that point, and I said, "So what'd you learn today?" And he said, "School's not for learning." I said, "Well, okay, it's kindergarten. You know, they're having fun." So first grade rolled around, and I said, "Hey, what'd you learn today?" They were in the middle of the year by then. I was still teaching. He goes, "Mom, I told you, school's not for learning." I said, "Okay." So my educator heart broke a little, a lot. So my goal is to provide more to meet the needs of every student, not just from the bottom and the middle, but also at the top. By doing this, we are providing an education for all students and meeting all their needs, and ensuring that the parents feel like their kids' needs are being met, and they don't feel like charter is the only option for them. And by doing this, we save a lot of taxpayer money.
So the first, I have two big concerns. One is to raise the academic standards, because at the moment, we're a little bit behind in our math and our English compared to other districts. So keeping the public, the district, to raise the standards so the options are not available to go outside of our district. Also, as we all know, our taxes have been raised, and because it goes directly to the board, it goes directly to the education, right, 60% of it. And that is not something that happened overnight. It's mandated because we're falling behind per pupil adequacy ratio, and that's comparatively mandated by the states. So two things, one is to raise our academic standards, and hand in hand for the taxes to be lowered equivalently.
Yes,
I would like to focus on every student in Franklin High or Franklin school system to achieve the ultimate goal of making it to a college education or a trade school. Part of it is we're going line by line item on the budget to make sure that everything's efficient as much as possible, because I don't like paying high taxes as much as you do. Unfortunately, we have to follow the BOE out of Trenton, and they have certain guidelines that we may or may not need to change. So my real big thing is what policies we can change, and where's the inefficiencies in the budget. That's my take on what I would like to do in the first year on the Board of Ed. Thank you.
Next question. The school budget increased significantly this year. How would you address this going forward?
We send, I think, $28 million to charter schools. So by addressing and meeting those students' needs early on in our elementary education, we would be keeping, hopefully, some of those students in district. There are about 1,300 students that attend charter school. So 1,300 students and $28 million going to charter schools, because that's for tuition, busing, and after-school programs. So per pupil, it's a lot of money, and if we are meeting those needs in district, we would be saving us a lot of money and keeping that money allocated for public schools.
So the budget, it's not an automatic increase, right? It's based on performance of how we're doing. So the way we keep it in line is really not line by line, but is by performance based. So the reductions, if we're going to look by line, is on performance based, of where the items can be taken away, the results of how that has happened. Where we can look is not to, obviously not to take it away from the classroom, but to look to see where there is duplication, where there's lack of efficiencies. So it has to be really be looked and performance-based.
The budgets definitely need to be looked at, and there are some questions on why are we spending a lot of money to consultants to teach our kids in the different sections on emotional pocketbook, knapsacks. One of the Board of Ed there's a consultant that got $10,000. If you go to the school board, it's amazing what we spend money on that needs to be slowly trimmed out to lower everybody's taxes. Part of the other issue that's not really related to here is that the warehouses do not have one increase in overall taxes versus the residents, and that's a big problem. So we also got to talk about the overall Franklin Township budgeting too.
I agree with Clara. The first thing that I would like to look at is the charter school expenditures. Clara's very wise to have a proactive approach. I am just really looking for some transparency. The charters that we are currently sending our pupils to, we have no idea what the tuition is. They can change the amounts, and from year to year with no roadmap. There's absolutely no transparency in those budgets whatsoever, and they are selecting the least expensive pupils to instruct. So that's the first chunk that I would want to examine. I really appreciate the fact that the state that there are some moves in the state right now toward requiring more transparency from charter schools on par with what the standard public schools have to expose to the public.
Next question. The Board of Education website has information about the budget, meeting minutes, and other information. Is there anything you would add or delete?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the first sentence? I missed the first sentence.
Yes. The Board of Education website has information about the budget, meeting minutes, and all sorts of other information that the public might want. Is there anything you would add or delete?
I think I'd like to enhance it by a little more communications, maybe a direct ability for our residents to question the Board of Ed on the meetings. I'm not too sure if that exists, I haven't seen it, but a more direct communication where the responses are available for the residents to ask.
The Board of Ed meetings, there needs to be more detail in the budget itself. There's a 56-page PDF. It only includes salaries for 33 out of 56 or 58 people that we have budgeted for. We need more detail in the budget itself, and also in the meeting minutes. There's a lot of items that are not explained thoroughly, and there's just a consent agenda at the meetings. And the detail is not there. We need more details of what's going on at the budgets. Thank you.
The first thing that came to my mind was what I've been hearing from so many parents of elementary school students in the district this year about the frequent changes to the platform for parent communication. I think it would be excellent if there not only was a consistent platform, but that was highlighted and there was a very clear and direct access from the district webpage to those platforms in more than one language to ensure that all the parents have access.
From personal experience, sometimes the calendar has changed and I have had no clue. And different calendars on the Board of Ed website offer different things. Some of them would still show that school is on and some of them would show that school is off. So a little more consistency across the calendars.
Did you answer the question?
Yes.
There has been a decrease in partial funding and Medicaid cuts. How do you plan to account for the decrease in funding for special education and related services?
Is that Medicaid from the state or from the federal government? In either case, we would have to take a look at where that funding is highly affecting the different sections of the budget. And since there was a large increase this past year, I have to take a deep dive into whether or not that was necessary and efficient to what we need. The Medicaid or Medicare supplements to the students, it's a need, and we got to maintain that to keep all students available to get the highest education.
There's absolutely no way that any student should not receive the services that they are entitled to and that they're required to learn because a bunch of adults can't figure out what they need to be doing. So as a citizen, it's everything that I can do to push on my legislators, to push on those that are above them, to make sure that the dollars that New Jersey sends to the federal government come back to serve the students who are in New Jersey. And in particular, our most vulnerable students who require those services. They require them morally and they require them by the law. They're going to receive them.
I don't know how I'm going to follow that answer. My answer is basically the same. We need to provide all necessary services for our students, especially the lowest ones and the most needy. We just need to do whatever we need to do to make sure the funding is provided for those students.
I'm going to resonate what Clara and Jen have said. It's healthcare is a basic human right. We should not compromise at any level, at the budget level. That is a human right that every child should have. Not given creates emotional stress. Mm-hmm. Emotional stress leads to less academic achievements.
Do you have plans to change the current Board of Education goals? If so, which ones and why?
I would draw that one first. I think that I've come new to enough situations to know that it's very important to observe and try to learn the culture of a new organization before coming in and trying to upend it. I've seen the work that the last few boards have done in terms of working coherently and improving the quality of education for students in the district. And I think at this point, I definitely would want to work on supporting those goals and then seeing how I can contribute from my own perspective and my own experience.
Jen, I don't like following after you. I think the goals are there. Franklin really has improved, especially over the last 10, 20 years. The school system it's gotten much better, and I would not immediately go in and change goals as a first-year Board of Ed member. I would see what needed to be done and then take it from there.
So whenever you, I work in the corporate world, so whenever you join a new company, you have to understand the culture. You have to see what the policies are. You have to see what's been done before and where the gaps are. So I've looked at what the current board has done. I've been on their minutes, their videos, and yes, there's a big uproar on the taxes that happen, but if you really dig deep down, I think, that was state mandated, right? So it came down from the state for the adequacy ratio we weren't keeping up to the per pupil. they've done a good stewardship of what their job is. So my role is, if I come in, I'd like to see what has happened and where the improvements can be made, and then we can figure out the goal with the new board members.
I really wouldn't want to change the goals. I would want to find out why we're not succeeding to achieve those goals for our students. Because we're failing below average in the state in math and English, there must be something wrong that we can do better. Those goals are very lofty and very inspiring, and we need to inspire students to succeed. And that's how I want to look at it. It's not changing the system, it's how we can make the system do better. Thank you.
So I just want to make a comment to what Marty has said. I know why we're not performing. It's because we have a population, special needs population, English as a second language. These are homes that if you have food insecurity and you can't get food on the table, the last thing you're worried about is getting scores high. So we need to address that, and that comes directly from federal funding. That comes directly from the Federal Education Department, which has been dismantled.
Okay. Any other rebuttals? Next question.
I'm sorry, Mr. Moderator, can you tell us who the first speaker is?
What? Oh, sorry.
Anybody?
We were talking about Board of Education goals, so next.
We all answered that one.
Next question.
Right. The district has a diversity goal that has made a significant difference in the lives of our school community. Do you have plans to change or update this particular goal?
I have no plans to change any goals stepping in. I would see how everything is working and then take it from there. Being in a school system where we've had quick change is really detrimental to everybody involved, to the entire community. So short answer is no, I have no desire to change.
I'm so sorry, could you repeat the question?
Diversity.
Do you have any plans to change the diversity goal, which has made a major impact on the community? The district has a diversity goal that has made a significant difference in the lives of our school community. Do you have any plans to change or update this goal?
Diversity is the beauty of Franklin. We're the second most diverse town in the state of New Jersey. So I am not too sure how to answer that question. Are we going anti-diversity or more diversity? So I have no goal, nothing, no foresight or plans of changing that.
Yes, it does.
I agree, the diversity of Franklin Township does make a difference, and as the population changes, it could get even more on a diversity level than it used to be 20 years ago. And it is a challenge to all school systems to make sure that every student succeeds. So therefore, it's not the goal that needs to be changed, it's how do we make the changes to the school system to support the changing population.
There's a saying in teaching circles that half the curriculum walks in with the students. There is absolutely no way that students can learn unless their schools and their community and their curriculum reflect and celebrate and make sure that those students know that they are seen.
Do you believe there are subjects that should be eliminated or added to the curriculum? If so, which subjects and why? What about school and other student activities?
So as I said in my opening statement, knowledge should never be censored. Knowledge is something that's critical to be success in life. In this ever-developing, polarized world, every opportunity you have to seek knowledge, it should be sought, and children should be able to learn everything that surrounds them.
Part of that knowledge base is not only increasing the amount of trade schools that we have available. The VOTEC school is just not enough. We need to get back shop in our schools. And also, I like to take a look at foreign languages in the earlier grades to help out, because our children at first and second grade are sponges, and the more the knowledge that they have, the better off they are on the long term.
Well, the easy answer is yes. There's a new labor studies mandate that was signed a few months ago, and just I think it was last week, a new Latino studies mandate was signed by the governor. So there will be curricular changes coming. We're very fortunate that the state of New Jersey makes sure that they protect their curriculum at the state level to ensure that the students are receiving the history and literature and sciences that they require. I think that the fact that the students have been advocating for their own courses is a testament not only to their passion for learning and education, but also their skills in being able to advocate for themselves that they're receiving as well here.
Full exposure to age-appropriate curriculum is very important. We want to keep students curious. We want to keep that spark of learning throughout childhood into adulthood and keep them learning. It's so important to learn. In my current profession, I'm a piano technician. I've been encountering lots of people who have recently retired who are going back to learn music because they've loved it so much and they want to continue learning, and we should just continue learning as humans and learn about everything we possibly can.
Following up on the previous question, how should the school system expose students to both college careers and non-college careers so that they can make the choice that is best for them?
Well, one, I'd like to find out how we can get students to STEM, which is a nonprofit, to get kids interested in the sciences, because some of the minor constituents don't have the opportunity, and we need to get more people into STEM programs because the industries in our area are thriving for new talent from all ages and all backgrounds. And we got to double check that are we supplying that information to our students to help them succeed for their future lives. Thank you.
I actually built career pathways for our middle and high schools in Passaic, where I formerly worked. And I feel like not only did they give those practical career skills that you're mentioning, but it did help communicate what was required for a career. We had so many students, oh, I want to be an engineer when I grow up. Okay, sweetie Petey, what math are you taking this year? Oh, none, I met the math requirement. But having a career pathway gave clear information to our students, especially those who don't come from families where the parents have gone to college in the United States. It really helped elaborate that information to the students. I also think that there's a whole lot of other skills that our students are already getting here in our schools that are cross-curricular and that are super helpful. I credit the fact that I did theater in high school. Can you tell? That I did theater in high school for being able to stand up here and or sit up here and speak with you today. If the microphone went out, I could still be heard because they trained me. And to read my cue card for time.
Providing foundational knowledge for whatever a child may end up doing is just a solid foundation is what everybody needs. In my first career as a teacher, I went to college. I was college educated. And in my second career, I've entered a male-dominated trade. And you know, I could have done it straight out of college or straight out of high school. So either way, a strong foundation is very, very important. No matter what industry you decide to go into, whatever path you take, whether it's college educated or a trade, a strong foundation is important either way.
So a strong foundation in a curriculum that starts early on, that gives students the opportunities to explore, whether it's vocational trade or any of the STEM careers, it's important. The more you expose the child, the more opportunities they can grow and build on.
How would you promote the partnership between the board and the parents and guardians?
I have been thinking about that, especially attending meetings and attendance is slight. I get it. I mean, as a mom, I wasn't attending meetings that frequently. You're attending meetings of the band boosters, or you're working on whatever it is for your individual students. There's got to be a way besides, it's important that the minutes are published. It's the law. It's great that the videos are made available. But there's got to be a way that is simpler and more concise. I don't know if it's a single slide that summarizes what happened at that meeting and a quick message to families. Folks are busy, and if that's something that could be pushed out, even if it could be pushed out in the school-home communication system, I think that that would go a long way to making the Board of Education a little more accessible to families.
As a current parent, you know, it is difficult to bring your children along to board meetings. I'm pretty sure they would not be welcome there. It would be great if we could find a venue for parents to vocalize their thoughts that is not on social media, something in person, because we like to hide behind screens. It's not a great place for us. It doesn't show our children this is a great place to exercise civility. So we want to maybe have a place, a forum that is a little more informal, maybe not necessarily a formal board meeting, where parents can access and verbalize their thoughts.
Yeah, I agree with Clara. If we could have a forum outside of the regular meetings where parents can come and engage in a discussion of whatever the topics were discussed at the board meeting, because, you know, we're parents, we have kids in the school, we're running around to other meetings. So that gets difficult when maybe to attend the meeting itself. Perhaps an online forum, perhaps a newsletter. So there are ways we can collaborate and come up with ideas to maybe make it better for the parent and the board partnership.
Well, like any problem, you got to be engaged. If we can't get the parents engaged along with the teachers and the school board, we're never going to solve a problem. From my background in Six Sigma, you can't solve a problem if you don't know about it. And we already know that there is a problem within the school board and that our students not succeeding. So that's a start. We just got to get everybody engaged, just like coming out to vote, and everybody here tonight. It's how do you get people engaged and with the issues. Thank you.
What is your view on how the Board of Education can deal with the budget impact of charter schools? Now, I want to add that a good number of the questions that have come from the audience also relate to charter schools, and many of the questions don't seem to fully understand how much control the Board of Education has or does not have over charter schools. So I'm going to ask the timer to allow an additional 30 seconds per candidate on this question. First, address the basic question: how will the board relate to charter schools and deal with the budget impacts of charter schools? And then anything else you want to say about the relationship of the Board of Education and charter schools.
We can plan for budgets. We can plan for budgets. We can guess how much the charter is going to charge per pupil in the next year. But the reality is charters can decide whatever they want tuition is going to be for the next year. And they will decide and the board pays. The most reasonable thing that I can think of is to make the district more appealing than charter. And in some ways they are, but parents don't realize that. As a parent who considered sending my child to charter, there's a reason why I didn't. As a teacher, I know that they're not better in certain ways. I've taught students of charter schools, and the public education provides a more well-rounded student, a more well-rounded person. And that is our main goal, is to raise and educate adults that are well-rounded.
So, not a New York City public education, educated person, right? Big fan of public education. Charter schools history, if you look it up, had a different way of, it was a different meaning when it was established. It has morphed into something else. A lot of the district money, obviously, if you look up the numbers, is phenomenal, that are redirected to the charter schools. They say, that the charter schools administrators say that the transparency is there. There has to be much more transparency, accountability to where the funds are going, how the student population is chosen. So to maybe reiterate what Clara said, that if we raise our own academic standards in many different ways, perhaps, we give them the option not to go to the charter schools. And our school system, the district, is much more well-rounded. I have visited both of the charter schools. We have so many other things other than just the STEM that makes a child well-rounded.
Well, the charter school funding is, some of that's mandated by the Board of Ed at Trenton, so we have to get out and vote or pass the word to the Trenton BOE. Also, charter schools, most of them exceed Franklin High and other schools on a high school level. So we really should take a look at what do they do to make them succeed so well. Is it the ratio of teachers to students? What do they do that does better? What do they do that makes their students learn more efficient than the rest of us? There's got to be, we got to look at all the issues. It's just not the charter school or the type of school. It's what do they do that makes them better than the rest of us? Or how do they succeed? What makes their students want to come and learn on a day-to-day basis? I don't really know, but I'm willing to find out, so that's my piece.
Well, Marty's right. Charter schools absolutely do have better outcomes than Franklin High School. They choose the students that they want to educate, and the students who aren't performing well get returned to the public schools. Often 2 days before the mandatory state testing season. The board decided several years ago to hold tight at the charter schools that were in place at the current time, not to disrupt families that had already placed their children in those schools, and I support that. You don't want to do anything that's going to harm any kid. But expanding charter schools, doing anything that pulls money away from public schools in this town hurts kids. So the more that we can keep that money here, including asking for the accountability from the charter schools that we're already sending our students to, and ensuring that there is no further discussion, as there has been from the other slate, of an expansion from charter schools into a voucher system, which means that public tax dollars would go to St. Matthias and Rutgers Prep.
Okay.
Did I have everybody?
Yes.
No, I'd just like to say I haven't discussed any voucher system to St. Matthias. That was not my discussion. I don't know where that came up from. If that's the federal level, it's something different. I'm talking about here.
May I clarify this?
Yes.
You're right, Marty. I'm sorry that wasn't from you. I'm sorry that your teammates aren't here, but it's not on their individual page. It's on your campaign page that she's in favor of a voucher system. So that may not be your individual position.
Fair enough.
That is not a federal mandate. That is the position of one of your running mates.
Okay. Another charter question. The district used to allow students who attended private and charter schools to participate in Franklin Township public school sports programs, but no longer allows this. Do you support students who attend charter or private schools participating in public school sports programs? Why or why not?
You know, that's an interesting question. If we don't allow it, so I'm going to go both ways, right? It hurts the student, it hurts the child. Yet the charter schools take money away from the district. So what is a good way to do this? Do we allow the students, the charter schools or the private school students, to participate in sports? So maybe we should be charging them that. That's it. Thank you.
Agreed. I think all students should have the opportunity to succeed and excel in any sport activity. Since it's all part of the same budget trickle down, we have to know how many students from each charter school is going to be attending the different sports. I don't know exactly how many we're referring to, but it should be, everybody should have an opportunity to succeed in their own endeavor, whether it's a charter school or a public school. They should have the opportunity to succeed on their God-given talents.
Well, but it's not the same playing field, though, right? No, playing field. Because the money for that student already walked out the door to TEKS. If you want a TEKS education for your child, that's awesome. I'm glad that your family made that choice. But those are the extracurriculars that come along with the TEKS education. Although Maher is giving me some pause with this idea of charging back for the sports, because that funding is already left with you. I have no idea the sense, I'm sorry.
I lost track.
Yeah.
I believe that in addition to their regular tuition, the charter schools also decided that they wanted money for after-school programming. I believe. But if not, then yes, we should charge them back if they would like to participate in after-school programs for public school. Private schools have their own after-school programming. I guess if they wanted to participate in public school after-school programs, I suppose the private school students could. The district does not pay money to private school for private school students. So as far as I'm concerned, I guess they could. But there would be a question in terms of fee.
You are at a Board of Education meeting and observe concerning data on discipline, particularly noting the high number of minority students facing issues. Do you question the reason behind this and request an audit to determine how we can address and rectify this situation?
I'm not really sure how to answer that one, because it would be on a case-to-case basis on how to handle it. It sounds like somebody already has the statistics on the background of this information, of which I'm not privy to. But I would think that every case would have to be investigated to make sure we're doing the right thing, and it might be a very highly confidential issue.
So that's exactly what we're there for, right? To look at these discrepancies in the data and to ask questions about them. To be honest, I'm not really sure what the first line of action is for Board of Education. I'd like to think that if you're already giving me data, I don't know that an audit of that same data would necessarily be my first step, because I feel like there's already an audit inside the data gathering. But I certainly am going to want to have a number of conversations. Is this focused on one school or another school? We know the history of those discrepancies. We know where they come from, and more importantly, we know what they lead to. If we want the students to be successful, if we want to make sure that we have an excellent 4- and 5-year graduation rate, then that is absolutely something that we need to look at very closely. Not sure that audit's like the first line of action, but that it could be something that's procedural and that's required.
That is concerning if the discipline is being targeted towards certain people, certain students. We want to make sure that they are receiving a positive and fair education, and that means across the board. They would need fair treatment in all areas of school and their environment.
Agreed with Clara again, that if the data is there, we would need to address where it's stemming from and how to rectify it and address it at a very early onset stage.
Last question.
Valerie.
The sheet. How will you continue to ensure a safe learning environment for students and staff?
I guess I look at safety in a number of different ways. There's the issue of the physical plant. That's critical. I think I've said before, today is the anniversary of the day that a mouse ran over my foot at work one day, and I was wearing sandals that day. taught in buildings full of mold, and where there was G-Wing Falls. There was a lovely little waterfall where the seam of two buildings met. Teachers don't deserve to work in those conditions, and students don't deserve to learn in them if they can. We also need to think about safety in terms of the emotional safety of the students. And there's been so much done recently in terms of having students' needs met with the Warrior Pantry at the high school and making sure that other basic needs of students are met. In the current climate, I'm extraordinarily concerned about the emotional safety of our students. The loss of sanctuary status for our schools is enormously concerning to me, as is a lot of the emotional trauma, frankly, that our students and a lot of our staff are dealing with, surrounding a lot of the issues that look like national issues, but are actual real day-to-day issues in the homes of many of our students.
Safety is such a broad term. We could talk about physical safety, making sure students are fed when they're before they enter the classroom. I know as a teacher, I always had granola bars in my drawer, and I was not afraid of feeding the children. Because if they're hungry, they are not learning. They're just hungry. And in middle school, when kids are hungry, they are not learning. We could talk about physical safety in the sense of strangers walking into the school. In my current profession, I enter a lot of schools, and I enter with my big tool bag. And in some schools, there's only one door to buzz me in, and nobody greets me after I get buzzed in. I just know where to go, and they trust me to go where I need to go. Nobody in any school has ever checked my bag. I know in Franklin schools, there are 2 doors that you need to get buzzed into, which gives me comfort, in terms of visitors visiting our schools. So in terms of safety, I think Franklin is doing a great job. I'm so glad to see that we have the food pantry, and I know there's a new food pantry at Claremont, and we are stocking it, and it has at least another safety net for our children.
So safety comes in many forms, right? Emotional safety, mental safety, physical safety. They're all prerequisites of academic success. So if one of them is missing, then that wavers your academic ability. It's a scientific fact that any kind of stress, depletes your academic ability. The way I'd like to see it addressed, excuse me, is on an ongoing basis, have these checkpoints, whether it's physical well-being of the building, the mental safety of the students, have addressed that by having maybe trauma-informed training for the staff and administrators. So it's an ongoing thing to relieve any kind of stress that's happening in the schools.
Again, safety is an all-encompassing issue, whether it's the physical safety or the security of the buildings, emotional safety of the students. But being a biochemist, we all have to have stress or we will not survive. So we need a little bit of stress. It depends on how much stress is being issued to the students. But I agree with my counterparts here. If the child is hungry, they're not going to want to learn, and they won't be sitting still, and won't be paying any attention. It makes it very difficult to learn anything. But there's multiple issues. We have to tackle them all and keep everybody safe so they can succeed. Thank you. We're done.
Okay, each candidate now has 1 minute for a closing statement.
I'm excited to bring my educational experience to the Board of Education. I would like to not only focus on meeting every student's needs within the district, but to also advocate for those who require additional support to feel safe in school. Franklin Township Public Schools have much to offer our students, including a robust fine visual, performing, and practical arts department, exceptional after-school clubs, and athletics. I also look forward to working together with the Board of Ed to make a positive impact for our next generation.
So I raised my family here, and I know how deeply our schools shape both our children's future and the strength of our community. I'm running for the Board of Education because every child deserves a chance to shine, every parent deserves a partner in education, and every tax dollar must work for our kids, and every community can build a trust in the system. As board members, the duty and the responsibility is pretty clear. Set policy, oversee the superintendent, and safeguard the budget. Review it line by line because the goal is always the same. Protect the classroom and raise the academic standards. Education should always unite, not divide. Education is always open to the mass public, and classrooms are for learning and not ideologies. Our focus should be ongoing and giving every child the tools to think critically in this complex and rapidly evolving world. By raising standards, supporting teachers, and honoring every child's story, we can make our schools a source of pride. Thank you.
I would like to first thank everyone for having us here, give us an opportunity to give you our views on the Board of Education. Also, I'd like to say that it's a very complicated issue. It may or may not get done the first year that we're on the board, but we'll try to do our best. We can only succeed if everybody pulls together, and it might take a little bit of time to slowly figure out what's going on. But every student should be able to succeed in our township.
Well, I'm still a social studies teacher at heart, so I'm just really grateful that everyone took their time out to be involved in their civic exercise tonight. If I could give you all extra credit, I would, but I can't. If somebody want me to write a note too, I can work that out. I know. I also want to just thank my team. We didn't know each other a couple of months ago, and now we're hanging out all the time. Whether it's putting up signs or learning how to drink Spanish coffee at every coffee house in town, we've really come to Spanish latte. Being corrected. We've really learned how to work well together, and I really think that the board can benefit from the fact that the three of us work collegially, and I'd love to bring that same energy to the board and work just as collegially with them as a group of 9. We're ready to work with them. We want to support and uplift the schools in Franklin, and I just hope that when it's time to vote that you choose all 3.
Okay, let's have a round of applause for on behalf of both the sponsoring organizations, we would like to thank the candidates. We would like to remind you that there are 3 ways to vote this November. You can vote by mail, you can vote early, and you can vote on election day. If you have any questions about that procedure, see me after we break. The candidates will stick around for a meet and greet. You can just mingle with them outside. Yes. And if by any chance you need to change your voter address or your voter name if you've forgotten to do so since you last voted, We assume, of course, you're all registered to vote. We do have a few forms out in the lobby. You can also do it online. But you must update your voter registration by October 14th, Tuesday. So please do so if you need to. If you have any questions about that procedure, see me. Do the Deltas want to say anything?
Just good evening. Before we end, we were notified when we got here today that one of the candidates could not be here because she had a family tragedy. So we did invite everyone, but we just wanted to, and it's Nita Valori. So that is the reason why she's not here this evening. So we did want to make you aware that she would have been here if it had not been for, a family tragedy. So with that being said, we just, on behalf of the president of Central Jersey Alumni Chapter, Patricia Williamson, I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to come and hear from the candidates who want to represent you on your school board. So I hope the information was informative. I hope you have a better idea of who these 4 individuals are. And we do have time after for you to meet and greet. So we hope you take advantage of that. And if you have questions that maybe you didn't get answered here, you still have an opportunity to ask them once we formally end. So thank you so much, and everyone have a good evening.